make sure this is all rocking and rolling. Okay. All righty, Mike. Mike Campbell, the Dirty Knobs, thank you for being here, my friend. And
Thank you,
what
sir. Glad to be here.
what do you got there, Mike? What is that?
That's my mojo.
Chalk and wax.
Okay, we are on a mission to find the Dirty Knobs record. Me and Blue, right, Blue? What's your favorite song on the record? Do you have it? Okay, he doesn't have it yet, but we're gonna get it. We're on a mission. A mission. That's it. Mission from God. So, do you know when you're gonna get the Dirty Knobs record in?
I don't know.
You don't know.
We have the order in, but come back in.
Trying to get my Dirty Knobs record sold out. Sold out, huh?
Sold out. Yep, we got more on order though. We'll be back in. Check that.
So this is the original pressing for the American.
It's one of the originals. Yeah.
So the green is what you could tell you were saying?
And it's a mono, but the mono with the green Beatles is like the 9th pressing that they did of this for US.
Interesting. Thank you for your time. You have a wonderful store here. You didn't have the Dirty Knobs, but you know what? We got some good stuff here. Thank you. I did walk away with
Hey, I'll look for the Dirty Knobs and then I'll give you a call.
All right, you got it, my friend. Take care. Bye-bye. Check this out. This Bill Haley in the comments, rocking the oldies. The original ADIKA sleeve. Look at this. Look how they did that. How cool. You really want me to get you that record, Blue? If my wife wasn't with me, I'd pick this up for sure. I gotta come back another day. Yeah, when she's not here. Let me keep my habits to myself. Yeah.
$5 off.
Yeah. But you know what? We did get the Bill Haley comment, so thank you very much for that one. We won't tell her the price. We'll keep that a secret. All right, have a great day. We're still on our search for the Dirty Knobs, but probably by the time our interview's done with Mike Campbell, I will get that. But I will say this. Mike Campbell, founding member of Tom Petty and the Heartbreakers, his new band, the Dirty Knobs, which is not so new. We're going to have a little chit-chat with him. All right, come on. Mike Campbell, the Dirty Knobs, thank you for being here, my friend. And
Thank you, sir. Glad to be here.
What do you got there, Mike? What is that?
That's my mojo.
Mike, there's a lot to talk, and I got to thank a mutual friend, Sharon, for turning me on to you, and thank you for taking the time. She was a lovely lady and a great vocalist. So thank you, Sharon, for this. And first of all, Mike, you have a lot going on. The Dirty Knobs, Wreckless Abandon. I saw you guys play in Encino, and this is before the record camp. This is years ago. It got to be you were doing like some obscure, like not the popular Beatles songs that people would do. And the band is just great with Matt Log on drums, a solid drummer. It was a wonderful show. But this record, it's every bit of rock and roll, which is excellent, man. You got a little of everything there. What I'm hearing, but I hear all the influences
I'm
come.
a child of the 60s, so it all comes out.
On doing this record, were these songs that you had in the closet, or are they all new songs with the band that you?
It's about half and half. Some of about half the songs were things that could be as long as 5 years ago that we played live before, and they did well live, so I put them on the record. And the other half are just things that I wrote during the record or right before the record.
Well, you have this vintage turntable with a needle you were showing over there. It's like a nail that's on the and you crank
the
it.
Victrola.
Yeah, tell me about it.
I got it on tour, I think in Florida. It was at an antique store, and you crank it up. Unfortunately, my grandson broke the crank, so that was probably the last time it worked.
Oh, really?
But you crank it up tight, and then you have these little nails, like little mini nails that you clamp onto the the head there, and then you drop it on the record. You get about 10 plays before the nail goes bad, and you have to replace the nail. Yeah, it's like the old days, what they used to listen, 78 records, what they listened to before they had electricity. You open it up, the front of it, it's got a little horn in there that projects.
Yeah.
The old records sound great on it.
Dude, this is the stuff that probably would be great on it. Like stuff like this stuff would probably like would be great. What, Mike, do you still have your vinyl from when you were a kid? Like, the records that you.
I think most of the ones I had when I was a kid have been lost through the years. Some of them I've rebought. But yeah, I have quite a lot of vinyl. I have a closet that I have them all in. They used to be in alphabetical order, but they're all screwed up now.
Your album Wreckless Abandon is not. I went to a record store. That's a great, and I wish I could share the screen because if you're into vinyl, which I know you are, you lose your mind. So I go, you guys got the Dirty Knobs Wreckless Abandon? The guy goes, no, it's sold out. So that should be.
The vinyl is the best sound, actually. I got a vinyl and played it in my living room. It's a religious experience. It just sounds better on the vinyl, but I guess it's good and bad that it's sold out.
No, I
they'll
know.
keep printing them.
And it's going in the store and I'm like, yeah, the Dirty Knobs. And the guy looked at me like a maniac because first I'm walking in the store with the mask.
Who's the Dirty Knobs?
No, he knew right away.
Oh, he did. Oh,
He totally knew. I didn't have to say anything. I didn't have your Dirty Knobs record. So you have it on vinyl and obviously it's on CD, right? They still do CDs?
Yeah, but people don't buy CDs much anymore. A little bit, but actually streaming and vinyl is the way to go nowadays, apparently.
How about cassettes? Are they making a comeback?
Yeah, maybe. I heard the cassettes were trying to make a comeback for the purists.
Yeah, I don't know about an 8-tracks. 8-tracks never.
I don't think it's going to go that far.
It's never going to go that far. But
a little extra hiss on your record,
No, but you remember the 8-track, the old school, like you click it, but it was not the thing
cut
that
off
happened
in the middle of the song and then switch to the other side.
I want to also talk about your Tassie Animal Rescue Fund because I'm a big dog lover myself. I wonder how did you get into that? Started all that?
Well, I'm an extraneous member of the organization. It's my wife and her best friend Leilani put that together, and I help out when I can for fundraising and stuff. But they basically run it.
Yeah. How many dogs you have yourself?
Right now we have 5. Over the years, we've had as many as 10 at once.
Yeah.
But 5 is a working number. Well, the thing about dogs is they're such beautiful, loyal companions, and you typically outlive your dog.
Yeah.
So there's always that moment when you have to say goodbye to them. And I think it's a way to teach you how to deal with grief. They teach you so many things as well as that.
Yeah.
But it's always sad to lose them. We just lost we have some turkeys and chickens in the yard. We just lost our oldest female turkey this morning. It's always sad.
Oh, that's a drag, man.
Let's move on.
Yeah, you got to move on. Are you a vegetarian, by the way?
Not strictly, no. I don't.
No?
I hardly ever eat meat just because I don't like it anymore.
I'm the same way.
But I'm not religious, no. But I mostly eat non-meat items.
Yeah,
Chicken I can eat if it's chopped up, but if it looks like a chicken, I don't want to know.
No, I'm the same way. The same way. Amen on that one, my friend. Amen. What's now obviously with this whole thing, the whole world has changed that we've been living in music and all that stuff. Everything is viral now. Like you're doing this and you play your guitar to keep on live. I mean, the Dirty Knobs, you guys had some shows booked and all that stuff. It put everything on a big halt for you guys. You're gonna plan on doing another record after, recording again or do some live shows?
Yes, we are.
Virtual?
Well, we're not doing much virtual stuff. I don't really like the virtual stuff because there's no audience there.
Yeah.
We did a thing at the Troubadour without an audience, and it was good, but it was just missing that kinetic energy.
Totally.
But we are going to do some recording. Our tour, which was all sold out and ready to go, it's been pushed back till I think March next year. It's still there. All the tickets are sold.
Yeah.
And so we're going to honor those dates, and we plan to have a second record around that time, so we can, have a record and a tour together.
Yeah. I mean, this record is smoking. I mean, this is the main thing I want to ask you about. And you're Mike Campbell. I was going to ask you, how the hell did you track him down? But it's Klaus Vormann, Revolver.
It was a chance, really. My wife's assistant, her name is Alex. She's German. And she had worked at Klaus's office in Germany a while ago. years ago. And she just mentioned, you should give him a call. He still works. And I said, really? She said, yeah. So I never actually talked to him in person, but we contacted him, and I sent him the idea, a rough idea of a cover with a train or whatever. And he did an amazing job. I was thrilled that he sent it back to us. It was exactly what I wanted and better.
Dude, an amazing job. And it's Klaus Vormann. And
Yeah.
for the audience out there listening and watching, Klaus is also known for the famous Beatles Revolver album, which is one of the greatest covers ever, that as a kid I would stare at and get lost at. It's actually over there. And
also a great bass player. He played on a lot of the John Lennon solo stuff. And I hope I get to meet him when we go to Germany and thank him in person.
He's, you know what, I'm surprised you never met him. What a great bass player, Mike. He actually, his bass, and you probably all know this because you're his son, the bass intro for You're So Vain, that little Galvin, which is a wonderful little touch of him fumbling in the studio. And
he's an artist.
Yeah, his tone. I mean, even a lot of people notice who are diehard Mike fans, but the stuff that you've written in the past that some people might not know, Boys of Summer, a great song, and there's a lot of hits that you have written yourself. And you know, you're one of those guitar players I listen to you all the time play. It's so rock and roll, and you play always the right part. Tasty and
lucky, really.
You know what, it all goes back to your vinyl collection. It does. It goes back. Give me a little. I have a vinyl show, Talking Wax. So give me a little bit about your first vinyl records that influenced you. If you could pick the top 3 to 5 that moved you.
The first one I ever bought, or the ones I liked the best?
No, maybe the first one you bought. Let's go there.
First vinyl I ever bought, which I could only afford a single, was the Beatles on Swan Records, She Loves You and I'll Get You. And then I saved up enough to get a couple of LPs. I got a Beach Boys All Summer Long album and Hard Day's Night. And from there, I just kept buying albums, you know.
Dennis Wilson, another great vocalist, Pacific Ocean, a great
I love the
record.
Beach Boys. I mean, I just love their records. I still get excited when I hear their records. They're so well produced, and you know, it's such a time captured in my life when those were on the radio, and Dreaming of California Girls and all that stuff. But the records sound so good, well produced, and we did the Heartbreakers did a session once with Jimmy Iovine, and we brought Hal Blaine in.
Oh, you did?
And we got to hang out with him and hear some stories, and yeah, I mean, he's Hal Blaine, you know, the Phil Spector, the Ronettes, all the Crystals, all that stuff. Sonny and Cher, I mean, all those great records. That was him. He was a cool guy, really friendly.
Yeah. Wow. So you got him on. So what track did he put? So he actually recorded with you guys? How did he come?
Yeah, we did a session. I don't remember what song it was. It didn't actually work out. We didn't get a track that we liked, but we did get to hang out with him.
That's pretty cool. Yeah. So you know what I'm talking about with the storytelling from him.
Yeah, he's got a lot of stories, and you know, I'm fascinated with anything 60s.
I am too. I am definitely. What was the scene like in Florida growing up out there when, you know, because you talk about Dreaming of California. What was the rock and roll scene as a kid, as for you?
Well, it was an interesting time because there were concerts. There was no internet. There was none of that, you know, and rarely you had the Ed Sullivan Show. Occasionally you'd see a band on there, but to see a band live, you had to go to the concert once a year when they came through your town.
Yeah.
And I did see the Beach Boys in Jacksonville, Florida. Completely fucked my brain up. It was so good. The rock scene in Jacksonville, where I grew up, when I was learning to play guitar, was perfect because all those great 60s bands, you know, had great guitarists and great songs.
Yeah.
And the local scene there, I was kind of young to go out, but I did go out a couple of times with a friend of mine, and we saw an early version of the Allman Brothers. I think they were called the 1% at some little bar, but I didn't know who they were. Later on, they became Leonard Skinner, some of them. And when I moved to Gainesville, there was a music scene there. A lot of local bands, you know, playing fraternities, and on the campus, we used to play on the campus. We couldn't get fraternity gigs because we didn't know enough covers. We were doing our own songs. But the University of Florida had a lot of nice places to play out on the lawn and stuff. And we used to, and a lot of bands, you know. It was kind of alive with people wanting to make music together.
Yeah, I think it's funny you mentioned the Beach Boys. That was the first concert I got to see, and my dad took me because it was a free concert at Aqueduct Racetrack, Beach Boys, and it was Dennis Wilson. It was about 79, and I remember him coming out of the front singing "You Are So Beautiful" with the soul and the voice. And he was rough on the edges, but it was so rock and
Well,
roll.
that
I
was
go,
later, a little later on.
yeah,
When I saw them, it's when they had the pinstripe suits on, and Brian was still playing bass.
yeah, wow.
And Dennis was back on the drums. I think he did a song, but he didn't come down front.
He comes.
But I do remember that they had the pinstripes, and Carl Wilson had the Rickenbacker 12 string. And at the end of the song, nearing the end of the show, some girl ran up on the stage, and Brian was singing, and she came up and grabbed him and completely freaked him out.
Yeah.
He just quit playing and like kind of went like scared, and they got her off the stage, and he finished the song. But I'm glad I got to see that incarnation of the band.
Totally, man. Totally. That's a great one. Yeah, I saw it right. I'm glad I got to see at least Dennis Wilson perform, because it was definitely.
Yeah, he was a real soulful guy. I got to know him a little bit.
Did you? Did you?
Well, but I met him a few times, and he was always so kind.
Yeah. There's one thing you can't take out. He had definitely the soul in his voice, a big thing, and I love the soul. And that's I mentioned his voice because going to your tracks and your vocals, it's just, I love it. It's just real rock and roll. I'm not saying it here because you're here. It's just I dig it. I mean, you got it's just lost rock and roll that I think people forgot, and definitely it's just great songs you got here. You got Chris Stapleton. He's on the record with you.
No, he's a real singer. I'm not really a singer per se, but Chris can really sing, and that was a lucky stroke that he was in town that day, and he was gracious enough to sing on our record with us.
But you know what? It's I think when you say not great, everything's in the phrasing. And if you think about your favorite singers, it's always the phrasing, which, Bob Dylan. I love Bob Dylan, but everything was all in the phrasing, and
and Tom too. It's more about the personality and the character than the operatic notes. I worked a lot with Roy Orbison for a while, and he was over one day, and he was talking about how he was just born with this gift of a voice, probably one of the best voices ever. And George and Jeff and Tom were in the other room, and Roy was funny. He was going, and it wasn't ego, it was just a fact. He goes, I'm a real singer. Those guys, they're more like stylists. So I put myself in the stylist category.
Oh, I love it. It's styling because it's great songs, and it's real. You have a song, "I Still Love You," and that, because the beginning, the intro starts out heavy, and then it goes into the vocals, the verse. I'm like, wow, and it just like caught me right away. So, and I'm listening on iPhone. It doesn't justify the record. I got to get it on vinyl and sit there like a little kid.
Yeah, it's an emotional experience on vinyl.
It is. Your album is a pretty emotional experience, and it's a one record to be proud of, man. It's a good one, Mike.
Thank you. We're real proud of it too. And that song you mentioned, most of the songs on the record are third-person characters. With maybe my persona creeps in here and there, but there are other people.
Yeah.
"I Still Love You" is very personal. That's straight from me to a person, and it's a very emotional song. Very simple, but there's a lot of feeling in it. And I'm really happy with the track that we got. Captures that feeling.
Yeah, I felt the feeling right away, right after the intro, and I was like, wow, right when your vocals started. And then I was actually listening to
that one a lot.
Yeah, I felt it. What right now, what else you have? What's on your turntable? Like right now on your vinyl, what do you have?
Probably Jimmy Reed. I usually play old blues records on my vinyl. I have a little fold-out system in my kitchen up on the counter. A Zenith where the speakers fold out, and the table comes down, and it sounds really good. It sounds like the way I heard records when I first heard records. There's not a whole lot of bass, but there's enough. And I usually put on older records on there. When I want to hear a record, that's usually where I go.
It's a good one. It's funny. There's some records that just don't sound good on vinyl. There's some that just don't work.
Well, the ones that work are the ones that were recorded with that in mind.
Yeah.
That was their format, and they produced the records knowing that people were going to hear them on the vinyl, and probably a compromised record player. As years went on, people started getting really sophisticated audiophile record systems in their house, But like when I hear the Beatles or the Beach Boys, like say the Beatles, for instance, if I put on a streaming or some kind of digital thing, it sounds good. But when I play it on a record, there's something that sounds so familiar to me sonically, because that's what it sounded like when I first heard it. And there's a little less bass, but the guitars just cut through, and they have these overtones that you don't get on the digital.
No, you don't get it at all. I remember turning the needle, putting the needle on, and the mono versions where you hear each speaker and you could hear the parts really great. And there's something about those early Beatle records which is fabulous. You could hear the vocals panning on the left side, and
Well, I'll tell you a story about that, which is really interesting. And I learned to play when I was learning to play. My dad was a audio engineer. He had a store where he fixed people's record players and stuff. And when he and my mom split up, he left me a record player that was kind of in a plastic box with wires that came out the back. It was a stereo record player, and I had 2 speakers, but one of the wires didn't work. I mean, I forget how this worked, but I could only hear one half of the record. And so the Beatles records, a lot of them were split. Like the guitars would all be on one side, or the vocals might be on the other side.
yeah.
So I would play the record through hearing one half, and then I'd stop and rewire it to the other side, and then I get to hear the other side of the record, and I'd have to put all the instruments together in my mind.
Oh wow.
But what was cool about that is the guitars to be isolated or whatever, and I could really hear what they were doing.
Yeah, you could pick them apart that way. That's funny.
Yeah,
You had to put it.
I went to a friend's house and put it on and heard the whole thing. Wow.
Did you get crazy with the White Album, the number 9, and spin it backwards, and all the clues? Did you ever get into all that stuff?
No, I just listened to it.
Just listen to it.
Number 9, I think I heard once, and then I would usually skip over it.
I know.
I had to be in a certain kind of mood to take that on.
I know. I think the only time I ever really listened to that track was just spin it around, backwards to hear what the kids were talking about in the neighborhood. But there's something about it. And then you have it. You know what? Over here, you have another song on the record. And I put a note here that remind me of early Stones. It reminded me of like an early Stones song, like Brian
Irish
Jones. Yeah, it had that
vibe. That's really more Van Morrison. I was inspired by Van Morrison and them. I heard them on the car radio one night. I don't even know what song it was, but it had that kind of ambiance to it, and I wanted to do a song in that vein. And so that was directly influenced from Van Morrison.
Wow.
But I think there is a lot of Rolling Stones influence on the whole album. There's a lot of Chuck Berry, Keith Richards influenced type of guitar feels that it's one of my favorite bands.
Oh, it's great stuff. I actually have behind me, if you could see, this was a movie, Let the Good Times Roll, on vinyl, and this was with Chubby Checker, Danny and the Juniors. You had Bo Diddley in this one, Little Richard, and it was on Bell Records. It was definitely a big influence me as a kid. That was like the first record, and then Meet the Beatles. But Chuck Berry is not on the record, and I was bummed out about it when I was a kid. He didn't want to give it up, Chuck. So that was it. Well, you know what, my man? I appreciate you spending time. I don't want to keep up all your day here, and I know you're a busy guy and all that good stuff, but you got a great record, Wreckless Abandon, The Dirty Knobs, out now. I'll put the link right here. Everybody that's watching this, you click right here. You could check that out. And Mike Campbell, thank you for just spending a little time with me, with you,
Very
and
much
them.
for the compliments. They're greatly appreciated, and we are really proud of the record. Every little bit of exposure helps.
Hey, my man. You know what? Let's also not forget about Rock the Dogs, the Tassie Animal Rescue Fund. We'll put that up there too. So help those little guys out there, everybody. And thank you, Mike. Hey, my man. Hey, my man. I thank you for being here. And
don't stare into the light. Thanks for your time, and it was nice talking to you.
Yeah, you too, my man. Thank you very much. All right. Good. Be safe out there.
You too.
Bye.
Chalk and wax.
So I'm coming back, seeing if you have the Dirty Knobs album. Oh, you did leave a message. Ah. got our Dirty Knobs vinyl album right now, Wreckless Abandon, artwork from Klaus Vorman, liner notes from Jan Uhelski from Famous Creep magazine. You got double album, your dedications. The album's dedicated to my co-captain Tom. Beautiful. It doesn't get much better than that. Mike Campbell, you're a true gentleman. God bless you, and thank you for the good music that you do. Until then, everybody, it's only rock and roll. We love you. Now get out of here, you crazy kids. God bless you all.
Wax.